Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. Come with me to the motorcycle live show. So this was my walk from the media room to the ACU stand, where I spent most of my day because thanks to the ACU I was a special guest for their Women in Sport Day that Pippa Laverty put on. Pippa did an absolutely phenomenal job. She is an ambassador for women for the FAM and the ACU, and yeah, hats off to her. She did absolutely amazing. Everyone will tell you the same. She's definitely the right person for the job, so thank you to the FAM and ACU for allowing Pippa to do what she does best and help support and grow women in the sport. So yeah, really enjoyed my day. I didn't see much of the show, to be quite honest, because I spent most of my day with the ACU and I met lots of motivational women, so inspirational, listening to all of the talks. You'll see that there was a trials talk, an enduro one, then motocross, track, circuit and road. The track talk had some people talking about flat track, and the road talk had Hayley Bell talking about WRWR, the Women's World Rally. So I am an ambassador for the Women Riders World Rally for the off-road in the UK, so I do post quite a bit about that on my Instagram. So yeah, all of the people in this are absolutely amazing and you should come along if they ever do it again. It was phenomenal. Anyway, I hope you enjoy the vlog. This is slightly more formal than the last one. There's definitely less screaming, you'll be pleased to hear. But don't worry, I'll be back on two wheels with more screaming in the next vlog. Enjoy!
Ambassador for women, and the whole goal of the ACU was to try and increase the participation of women in the sport. So in doing that we do lots of different projects, and we're going to chat about those projects today. So why we have an ACU Women in Sports Day? As you can see from the graph, there is way more men than women currently in the sport. Give us a background as to what your journey in the sport was.
It started a very long time ago. I remember getting a pony for Christmas, looking out the window and thinking, where's my bike? From that moment on, my dad thought, we better get on with this. So I started in 96, I think it was, on a little TY80, going out for fun, progressing, and then we heard there was a ACU Women's Championship starting in Wales in 99, and from then on it kind of escalated into this is what I want to do.
And in terms of actually working with the ACU for the first time, how have you found that?
To be fair, like working with the ACU, I feel like I've always worked with the ACU because whenever I've needed anything, I've phoned.
I really want to thank you for that, because it's fantastic that a sporting commission have dedicated that role.
I'm blushing a bit now.
Well, on that subject, so next year we're actually really excitingly going to do a Kickstart program. So this initiative is going to start off in trials, thanks to Mike and Simon, because they're dedicated to getting this up and running. And the whole objective is to try and get more women to have a go at all the disciplines. So we're starting off in trials, and Mike, this is something that we've chatted about, and it's important, isn't it?
I really think it is. I think if the future of the sport is to succeed, and we talked a little bit about that, World Championships, what you need to do is plant acorns. That's the way I look at it. So what you've got to do is for young kids, you've got to get them involved, and there you're pushing acorns in the ground. And in 50 years' time, they'll be here. If you don't put any acorns in the ground, they don't grow, you don't grow the sport. So it's really important that you encourage youth in the grassroots. 3 is sort of one step back from Trial GB, and I think having their own class in there will encourage the ladies to push forward and be challenged a little bit more. It's not a ladies series by itself, but somewhere they can go riding, and they can be riding alongside the men in a competitive environment in their own class. So that's good. Yeah, I'm really pleased with that.
So that was the trials talk by the very talented Donna Fox, who is the ACU Trial GB Section Advisor, and Matt Galway, the Trial GB Youth Series Manager, and also Mike Tizard, the Director of ACU Trials Commission. Obviously these are not trials bikes, but here's some of the ACU Championship winning bikes.
For women, we would love to start at a younger age, but I think you need to really concentrate and commit yourself to a British Championship. So whether that is the British Enduro Championship, you've got your Europeans as well and your GPs, and then your sprints, your Welsh sprints, your British sprints. You need to have commitment. For women, there's not a great pool of women around here in enduro. And I think once you're committed to a championship, you're really showcasing your talent and what you can offer GB.
Yeah, and I've just brought up this slide here because iconically in 2022 both the men and women's British team achieved victory at the ISD, and that was a really iconic moment. And for both of our teams to stand on the top step, that's really the best role modelling that anyone can ever have. So what are we doing actively at the ACU and in the ISD team to try and help nurture that talent coming up through?
We're really concentrating on our grassroots, and it is starting young and concentrating on promoting that through.
And that we really want to kind of, develop the UK as a world leader, as it has been for many years in the past in terms of world motorcycle sport.
And just to touch on the actual amount of world championships that are coming back to the UK, in the last year, do you know, I'm putting you on the spot now, do you know roughly how many world championship rounds we've had in 2025?
Yeah, so in 2025 we've had 13 world championship events. So we've had Trial GP has returned for the first time in 7 years, which has been terrific at Geddington. We've had MotoGP, World Superbike. We've had Sidecar Cross, which was at Fox Hills, which was a terrific event. We've had MXGP, at Matterley Basin.
A lot. I won't quiz you on them all because it's hard to keep track of them all. Speedway Grand Prix.
Two Speedway GPs at Bellevue, of course.
It's like from people being like, oh, why are you giving the girls free entry and not the boys? But I don't think people realise that the boys' entry is pretty full, so they don't need initiatives to try and encourage them to take part in the sport. Whereas that initiative really worked because did you see that participation of the women then maintain that number throughout the season that may not have been there previously?
We did, and it kept being very strong. I mean, the nature of the sport, the injuries happen. For me, having a solid group that commit to the championship, see, it makes Alex's job a lot easier selecting a team for the 6th day, but it shows a hell of a lot of commitment. Any rider committing to a championship, it's a lot of time, commitment, money, so that initiative helping them get to Scotland definitely boosts the women in the sport.
I think 44 years the ISDE is coming back to the UK. So the very first ever ISDE was in 1913 in Carlisle. And so we're just hugely proud to be in a position now where we can consider hosting an ISDE again. So, and I'd just like to sort of personally, publicly thank you for what you've done. You've been fantastic. The coverage and the profile that you've given women's sport within the ACU is unprecedented. So, massive well done for you, and thank you very much. Keep up the good work.
Whilst I show you some more bikes, I'll just fill you in on what that talk was about. So that was the Enduro talk by Alex Jones, the ISD Women's Team Manager, Neil Hawker, the ACU British Enduro Series Manager. He's also a Dakar racer. And Tim Lightford, the ACU President. Alex made some really interesting points here about the differences between boys and girls, especially during those teenage years when we're trying to really bring on riders, the differences in hormonal changes that girls experience compared to boys, without going into too much detail here on my YouTube channel, but it was really eye-opening.
Obviously, Motocross is a very popular discipline in the British Isles and everyone loves doing it, but we are not seeing as many women participate in it as we should. Historically, do you feel that the different championships that there've been for women, do you feel that they've been well supported?
I don't believe so. I feel like there's a lot of championships going on at the moment, and until this year no one really pulling together and creating just one proper one for us. But also saying that when I was younger there was probably 3, 4, maybe 5 women in the country that raced motocross. Like it was not known, it wasn't a thing, and that's probably why the help just wasn't there for us as well.
Can't we have a women's race? And they said, you can. So we had one round to go at this point, so from Clog we got the first ever ladies only gate drop in Scotland, and probably one of the only ladies only gate drops to happen all year in the UK. So it's kind of just the start for women's motocross in Scotland. The plan is next year to have another standalone event.
On merit, it's as simple as that.
No, I 100% agree with you, and I appreciate everything that you're saying as well, because if we didn't have the support of lead figures in role like you are with the Blue Crew, having those discussions, even if it's like coffee time discussions, planting the seed, making it the conversation, we need people in those roles to be talking about it, and what you're doing is fantastic because you're bringing those conversations to the table in circles where it may have not been listened to before.
I have a little bit of involvement with like balance bike racing. We are seeing way more little girls riding dirt bikes at that level on the electric balance bike. So what we need to do now is, like, if they're into it and whatever, like, we need to make sure that if they want to further their career and transition into petrol bikes and motocross, that there's a path for them to follow.
That was the motocross talk with Lauren May Collingwood, the British motocross champ, Claire Winthrop, the founder of the Scottish Women's Championships, and Jeff Perrott, the Yamaha UK Blue Crew motocross manager.
First shot done. Oh my word, handlebar seat, nothing but solid seat in the air. Wow! Ryan proudly upside down. Yes, with his big throw.
Into flat track.
Well, it was quite a long time ago, but from the age of 5, 6, I was straight on 2 wheels after having a few years on a quad, and then jumped on a Pee-wee 50, did a little bit on grass track, really enjoyed it, and then someone from the grass track side went, oh, why don't you have a go at Speedway / flat track? I was like, alright, yeah, it's a flat track, so it's quite a niche sport in comparison to your motocross, your trials, enduro, etc. So it's just having the awareness of what to do with the bike and where to race. So there's a lot of grassroots now coming through with the.
I'm really pleased to say that you're our race director for the Women's Speedway Academy and also the Gold Trophy. It's a project very close to my heart. It's a project that I started with Lydia, and we've gone from having only 5 women take part in the first academy to then 16 up in Manchester, which pushed us to be able to have the trophy.
In the clutch is me pressing the button. The minute I do that, I've lost all control. I can look as cool as I like beforehand and I know what's going on, but the minute I've got to press that button to start the race, and after that it's up to you guys, and I'm in the lap of the gods. So yeah, a bit of adrenaline, a bit of nerves, a bit of the unknown. It's incredibly addictive.
Helsby Junior Grass Track Club. We're one of 2 youth grass track clubs in the whole country. We ran the British Youth Championship last year.
Were you doing the flat track for the first time? How was that?
Exciting, actually. I was a few more on the grid, was there? Well, it's just like, how many? And then we're all going to get around here. How am I supposed to look after all that? How does this work?
How many is there difference between the Speedway and the flat track? How many is there on the grid?
4 and 12.
So you go from watching 4 to all of a sudden, oh, now you've got to watch 12 at once?
Yes, although the benefit of flat track is that you've got transponders, so that does help a lot. But yeah, I'll be honest, I was a bit like, yeah, flat track, I don't know, and it was fantastic. It was. I really enjoyed it. I really enjoyed the racing. It was close. There's so much going on. I could see myself jumping on a flat track bike. I couldn't see myself jumping on a speedway bike. But it was fun, and the fact that you can have speedway and flat track are the same, and I think that's where we need to go, where we have multi-discipline events, so that people get exposed to the different disciplines, and it's.
That was the track talk where they spoke all things speedway and flat track. It was Sky Adams who beat me to become the Women's British Flat Track Champion, Glenn Phillips, the FIM race director, Rachel Cox, the track racing clerk of the course, and Christina Turnbull, who is a referee for the FIM for the Speedway GP.
I'm one of the ones that get ready as late as possible, do everything as late as possible, so you're not thinking about it. But to be honest, I don't really do a lot. I've got superstitious. You always put your left boot on first. I don't know why. I always just put my left boot on first. And yeah, I just get myself in the zone, listen to music. On the grid it's a bit difficult. Obviously you're on British Championship, I'm normally on the grid for about 5 minutes, whereas at World Championship you're there for 15-20 minutes. So that part is not my favourite, because you just sat on the grid and you're thinking about everything. And yeah, I don't do too much, to be honest. I just try to do everything last minute, which is probably not the best thing to do. But it just makes me not worry about it and think about it too much.
So in our current climate, that could kill our sport, and obviously it's really important that the ACU are working directly with the brokers, making sure that insurance doesn't finish off our sport, which could have been a realistic thing a few years ago.
It's a great one. Nicole?
I think the ACU over the past couple of years, governing bodies are kind of a tough one, because a lot of people feel like they don't get enough information, or they don't really know where to start or where to go to if they're having an issue. And it's always when you have a problem that you realise you know nothing about the sport, or who runs it, or who you can actually go and speak to. And I do think over the last kind of year or so that the visibility that the ACU have had,
That was really briefly a talk for the circuit racing with Chloe Jones. This is her bike. She was third in the Women's Circuit Racing World Championship. Michael Laverty, a Supersport champion, and Nicole Lynch, the FIM technical steward. There's Lauren. And here's this girl's just having a final tour of the show.
We've been through some adventures, haven't we? We've been hauling ass across the world and then some.
Off the bike, and that's where it becomes community again. On this ride, there's been a lot of people who found their limits and pushed through. In every country that has happened, and we could not be prouder of those women.
Right, give yourselves a massive round of applause. We aren't brilliant, we aren't timid. We can ride. Yeah, and I tapped my phone with 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 other women riders. That's 6 lights on the globe that would light up. You can then go and tap it with 6 other riders. You can tap it with 6 other, however many you want exponentially. And all of a sudden you've got a visual representation in the palm of your hands at any one point in time of exactly how many women riders there are around the world and how active they are, and that there is a market for them, despite some people's opinions on that.
Hi everyone, I have just finished being at the Motorcycle Live show. It was really good fun, although it's pitch black out now. So I'm using my little light, so I hope nobody's watching me. But to be honest, this car park is pretty empty now because it's nearly 6 o'clock and the show finished at 5. But I had a really good time. But if you did make it to the end, then thank you for watching. I'll see you all in the next one. Bye.